Next, on Rugby Wrap-Up's MLR Weekly, Sam Golla, the captain of the Carolina Anthem, John Fitzpatrick of Rugby Morning, Brian Ray of America's Rugby News, and the best dang recap in rugby. Rugby Wrap-Up's MLR Weekly brought to you by Sheehy Auto Stores. It's easy at Sheehy, the Pig and Whistle, New York City, the world's best rugby pub, and Lean and Limber, stretching your way to a healthier lifestyle.
There is a massive responsibility on the 23 that are privileged enough to step out on that field today.
Let's get it started with rugby's best recap. It was Friday Night Lights at Baptist Health Community Field as warm weather teams Miami and San Diego dropped the gloves. Hint, hint, Florida Panthers, in the hopes of picking up a playoff spot. The visiting Legion dominated territory and possession, yet still found themselves in a track meet with the Sharks, who were led by league MVP candidates Shane O'Leary and Manny Ardau. Miami got the win, qualifying them for the postseason, while San Diego is in jeopardy of missing out. Final score 36-32 Sharks. It was East Coast versus West Coast, with DC hosting LA in the two-letter bowl. This one had huge postseason implications for both outfits, and Old Glory looked well on their way to avenging their loss in Southern California, sprinting to a sizable lead behind Axel Rose Mueller's 2 tries before the lights went out, or at least the power did. So unless you were in the stands, you missed an epic second half that saw the visitors come roaring back and then foil Old Glory's late last gasp for, well, glory by going 80 meters off a turnover for the nail-in-the-coffin try while securing a playoff spot in the West. But a huge sun-splashed DC crowd had a great day. Final score 43-32 Hollywood types. With snow-capped peaks backdropping, not really, I just like saying that, Utah welcomed in beleaguered Carolina, who were still seeking that elusive first win. And did they get it? Hell no, not with the Warriors' prolifically efficient offense. Johnny Mano and co. specifically ripped off 5 tries with just 41% of possession, punishing the Anthem for any mistakes or blinks of an eye they might have made. Utah wins and remains in the driver's seat to be the league's highest seed, 31-10. In the second city, the second-place Chicago Hounds were looking to keep their hopes up for first place in the East. But hard luck NOLA, who have lost 7 matches by less than 5 points, were a formidable roadblock. But Chi-Town used a combination of youth and experience in Peyton Wall, keep an eye on him, and Dylan Fawcett, the Butcher, to win comfortably in front of a happy, sun-warmed crowd. 38-17 Hounds. Just a drop kick, Murphy's drop kick from Boston. The New England Free Jacks and Seattle Seawolves reprised their rivalry in a pivotal East versus West matchup. And it was the undermined Seawolves that had the 12-zip lead before Rhino Herbst got pinged for what some say was a questionable red card. The Free Jacks pounced on the opportunity and ultimately took a lead that was too much for Seattle to overcome, as the sun-drenched fans in the sold-out stadium relished their team earning a home playoff game. But they knew it was a Pyrrhic victory. Look it up, as Jason Patros' comeback ended prematurely when he was helped off the pitch. Let's hope he's okay. The final score, 37-30, FJs. Wow, we could all use a break. So let's do that cheesy thing again and take a coffee break with John Fitzpatrick from Rugby Morning. He's in Washington, D.C. John, welcome back to MLR Weekly. How are you, and what do you have for us?
Good. Does anyone ever call you Matty Bumpo?
Yeah. Next question.
No, seriously, you're a literary guy. You were a lit major at Sarah Lawrence College, weren't you?
No, I wasn't. Next.
Okay, moving on, Matty Bumpo. We got to talk about Nola Gold here, Matty. Luck ran out on them, eliminated from playoff contention. High hopes for that team coming into the season with all those offseason signings. But Matt, what do you think went wrong there?
I think it was a perfect storm of a new administration, key injuries at inopportune times, a team never really getting to gel together, and a perfect storm of losing tight matches. I think they had there's some statistic like they lost 7 matches by less than 5 points. It's crazy. I may have just made that up. Next.
On the flip side, though, how about the Miami Sharks, a team you did not like going into the season? They clinched a postseason berth for the first time in their franchise history. Granted, it's only been their second year, but how about those Miami Sharks?
I love the way you speak to my state of mind, saying that I didn't like the Miami Sharks coming into the season. That is absolutely and fundamentally false. And I think there's a team that dealt with adversity, dealt with injuries, and then gelled and now got healthy. They're swimming upstream, downstream. They're swimming downstream, those Sharks are. And watch out, because they'll take a bite out of you. Next.
Hey, Matt, did you catch the second half of that Old Glory DC game?
It's funny. That's funny. No, I did not. I wasn't working the match, and I wasn't at the ground, so I only watched the first 30 minutes like the rest of the television audience before the power went out. And it was just an epic game that we all didn't get to see, but that's life in the big city. Next.
Life in the suburbs. But hey, Matt, how about the LA? They qualified for the playoffs. Good for them. That must be the Antoine Dupont effect.
Or the Rugby Wrap-Up / MLR Weekly / the Rugby Odds effect, in which yours truly said from the get-go that they were a good team and that they would probably qualify for the playoffs. And what happened? They qualified for the playoffs. So, Antoine Dupont or Matt McCarthy? You choose.
Antoine Dupont.
Next.
Man, I know you counted San Diego out, but they are not out of it yet. You said they weren't going to make the playoffs. Matt, the final round of the regular season, every single match, there's something on the line, including San Diego. They could still qualify for the playoffs. They do take on Old Glory DC. Matt, which match are you most looking forward to?
Seattle's in control of their own destiny. If they get a 5-point bonus win, they've got that last playoff spot. And Miami's got to go across country to Seattle, to Starfire Stadium, and they've already clinched. So are they less incentivized, perhaps, Miami? Maybe we're going to rest some players and give somebody a break. We don't know the lineups yet, but that's a key match. San Diego lost the opportunity to control their own destiny. And ladies and gentlemen, he says that I wrote them off. He asked me a question, who's not potentially going to make it out of the West? That's not me writing a team off by saying San Diego was likely going to be out, but it looks like they're going to be out, which looks like I'm right again. Next. Oh, boy.
Man, you writer types are so sensitive. My goodness. Matt, let's get
We
out
are
of here.
not. See what I did there? Okay. What else do you and your stupid hat have?
I'm getting off this program if you're going to talk to me like that.
That's all it took. Had I known. On that note, I want to thank John Fitzpatrick of Rugby Morning. Well, thank you, John. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Digs like a demented mole there.
Need a great price on a new vehicle? Sheehy makes it easy. Easy Price shows you our lowest prices on the Mid-Atlantic's largest selection. Find your best price online or at any of our 31 dealerships.
It's easy at Sheehy. Sheehy.com.
If you're in New York City and want to watch some great rugby, have some great food, and some great times, go to the world's best rugby pub, the Pig and Whistle on West 36th Street.
How you doing? I'm Jim Hamilton. I'm at the Pig and Whistle. I'm at the famous Pig and Whistle. Look, I've got my rucksack on. I'm a well-known man around the world as one of the best rugby players to have ever played the game. No, I'm not. It's a lie. But we've got Paul O'Connell's montage on the wall. I've heard a lot about this place, and I'm here. Make sure, though, that you come here, but you also tune in to Rugby Wrap-Up.
And we are back with Mr. Sam Golla, the captain of the Carolina Anthem. Sam, welcome back to MLR Weekly.
Thank you for having me.
Sam, I've got it from my producers that you are now a record holder in that you have been on MLR Weekly in all of your seasons in the league consecutively. Nobody else has done that. Congratulations.
All three. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
In those 3 seasons, you have seen quite a bit in this league. You have experienced a lot. A combination of people with 20 years experience in professional rugby haven't experienced what you've experienced in these 3 years, including wearing the captaincy for 2 different teams, Dallas and now the Anthem, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and you were the 2022 number 1 pick out of Cal, the MLR draft. So you find yourself in Charlotte, North Carolina now. And when I had you on this program earlier before the season kicked off, or I think it was when you signed, after all the kerfuffle with Dallas going out and all the players having to be dispersed, you chose to go to Carolina, which is the, let's say, the developmental side for USA Rugby's Eagles, our national rugby team. I got to ask you right now, after 0-15, and you've lived through an 0-16 before you took that team, or your team went to the playoffs, Dallas, the Jackals, before they left the league. So you experienced the agony of the 16 losses.
Well, I wasn't there that year when they went 0-16. I came in the year after.
Well, that just ruins my whole story.
Yeah.
No,
so we went 2-14 my first year in the league. So it was still a tough year, definitely. But.
Yeah, all right. So 2-4. So you went 2-14 rather than 0-16.
Yeah.
Okay. So 2-14, then the team transformed into a playoff contender and could beat anybody on any given day at that point.
Yeah.
And you were banged up for that as well. But now you're back and you're 0-15, but for the bounce of a ball and just you could have been 3 to 4 wins, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Kind of my warped mathematics. But how is it different for you as the captain, stewarding a playoff contender to now a team that doesn't have a win?
I'm just, first off, incredibly grateful to be the captain of the Carolina Anthem and co-captain with Jake. It's been a hard season. Obviously it's been very different, coming from Dallas to here. But at the end of the day, I do enjoy it here. I love what they're doing. Are there things that we need to work on? I mean, we are 0-15. I can't just sit here and tell you that everything's going great, because it's not, but it's a bigger mission than what it is right now. And I think we're recognizing now that there are some things that as a team that need to be solved. Obviously I'm not really going to get that much into it, but again, the mission is to develop USA Rugby players and grow USA Rugby, give domestic players more of a chance in the league, and in total kind of build that pathway through the Eagles. And I think that is what they're doing here. And we've done a good job this year of, getting guys meaningful minutes, getting domestic players meaningful minutes, giving them a chance in the league. And so as far as that goes, and with the greater mission at hand, which is kind of bigger than all of us, I think that part was a success. Just like any other team in the league, there are things that we need to work on, and there's corrections that I'm sure the players and the coaches and ownership and management will make in time for next season. However, there is still some accomplishment that I feel like we've received this year and some players have received this year. And if anything, it also showed kind of how we can improve and do a better job of kind of making sure we can be more competitive across the league next year.
There's some rumors circulating, and I don't know if you hear them or not, and I don't know how much credence is in them, but that there might be an ownership change with the Anthem. If that were to happen, and if they were to change the philosophy of the team, instead of being the total support group, support team for Team USA, would that alter your feeling on staying there?
No, I think, I've committed to Anthem. I think I've also committed to the mission. If that mission changes, I understand it's professional sports. I understand it's a business. I mean, I was at Dallas last year. If something happens outside of my control, my control is the rugby. If there's something different that has nothing to do with me and nothing to do with the guys here, I'll just have to kind of ride that wave, and, weigh out my options. But I do like it here. Like I said, I like the coaches here. I like the mission. I like what we're trying to do here. And again, it's more about USA Rugby for me. And if that changes, I'm still going to do my part in, putting my effort towards USA Rugby, whether if it's at Anthem or whether if there's different owners and, they kind of change the mindset. My goal is still to perform at a high level in the MLR. So I can have a spot on the Eagles and, do what I can to make an impact on that front in the international series once the season's over.
So are there a couple of three specific positives that you could take away from the season?
I think we played a very exciting brand of rugby this year, and I think we did get fans excited. I feel for our fans, I really do, and I really appreciate them for continuing to show up, and especially after 2 seasons. Right now, 0-16, 0-15 now. We still got one more game. But again, those results, they didn't come, and so I think outside of performance-wise, our president, Patrick, has been doing a great job about sponsors and kind of getting fans involved in, social media engagement. And I think that has been a major plus this year. And I've heard from guys on the team that were last year, it's just been a huge improvement. So shout out to him. He did a great job. I think, one positive is, coming from Dallas. I think the way they treat their the players here, as far as, the medical and the facilities, and then we get a grass training pitch, and, we get
got a grass training pitch.
Yeah. So that's huge for me.
That's big.
I know it is. It's great. And so that's huge for me. I think that's positive. And then, I just think, as a team, I love this team and I love the guys, and we're very close and we're connected, and, we may not have produced results, but I'm really proud of the effort that all of them have done, and especially guys, have gone through injuries and just like any other team. But we remain to kind of keep a smile on our face and stay positive as long as up until this point, and so most people can't do that, and I think this season, you learn a lot from something like this, especially from a leadership standpoint, and kind of remaining positive in really dark times. And so kind of as that record started getting further and further away from us, the boys just kind of stayed on the path and are continuing on the path. And so I think that's a positive for me.
Well, that's excellent. Any teammates surprise you with their ascendancy in the game?
I will shout out one person. I mean, there's a lot, but Connor Robinson, I played with him in Dallas. He didn't get as many minutes as he did this season, and I thought he had a fantastic season. He's the number 2. I'm the shot caller in the lineouts. We've built really good chemistry, and I think he's just performed, day in and day out. He's a very generous player. He's playing all the games, all the minutes, doesn't complain, so I knew he was that type of person at Dallas. And then I really got to see, him shine a bit more here, getting the starts and kind of, just being really reliable. And every team needs that kind of guy, just some guy who's going to work and put his head down and never complain. So, yeah, I'd probably have to go with Connor Robinson. So
I remember calling his college games.
Yeah.
So was it Northeastern or Boston College or one of those?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a Massachusetts kid.
Yeah.
You got a California guy and a Massachusetts guy living in Carolina, and it's all good. And I'm relieved to see you smiling, to be honest with you.
No, I'm not walking around with a frown on my face. No,
that's good. I'm happy that you're happy.
Yeah,
you earn it. You don't play on the wing. You earn your keep every single play.
I do.
And last question for you: any hand signals or ear going to the ear like baseball for the line out calls?
I'm not going to say anything about that one.
All right. So that's a yes. I'm taking that as a yes. All right. You heard it here, everybody. We got him. We nailed him. All right, Sam, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Sam Golla, the captain of the Carolina Anthem. We'll be right back with Brian Ray after this. And now for your Major League Rugby Play of the Week, brought to you by the Rugby Network. In the 47th minute, off a stolen lineout, the Chicago Hounds put the ball in the paws of rookie wing Peyton Wall, and the Indiana University product made fellow Hoosier rugby legends Bryce Campbell, Noah Brown, and Mark Cuban proud as he dashed through the teeth of the NOLA Gold defense for a thrilling 40-meter try. And that is your Major League Rugby Play of the Week, brought to you by the Rugby Network.
I wouldn't like to be at the bottom of that.
cleats? You need them tomorrow? If you order today by 3 p.m. New York time or noon LA time, they can have them to you tomorrow. Young, old, male, female, if you're playing on turf, if you're playing on grass, if you're playing in the rain, you're playing in the heat, they've got you covered. RugbyNow.com. Go there now. Here's your TRO, the Rugby Odds MLR picks of the week via WWE Hall of Famer turned rugby advocate John Bradshaw Layfield, legendary USA Olympic Sevens coach Mike Friday, and King Gifte Belu, inventor of words.
New England win on the road against the French Nola, who'll be playing at home.
Look at Houston absolutely demolish Carolina. 19 points is probably not going to be enough.
And hey, be sure to check out the Rugby Odds, the critically acclaimed sports entertainment show featuring big-name talent, exclusive highlights, insightful opinions, and irreverent, if not downright naughty, behavior. And we are back with Mr. Brian Ray of the New England Free Jack. Of America's Rugby News / Ray's Rugby. Brian, your Free Jack is showing.
Oh. What? Where?
You are shameless. You are absolutely shameless, and I am too. And that's what people need to understand. We're shameless. If you send us the merch, we'll wear it. End of story. Anyway, how are you? What do you got for us, Brian?
Yeah, I'm all right. It's hard to believe we're coming into the final week of the regular season, but here we are. A very eventful weekend, you'd have to say. I hear it was eventful in D.C. I'm not quite sure about that, but that's the rumor anyways. Fantastic to see the Free Jacks get a great win on one hand. On the other hand, absolutely crushing to see Jason Potras go down again. You have to think that's his season over. Just the rugby gods, I don't know what he did to them, but they were not happy with him this season, and really sad to see. But Holland's head will be back soon, so thankfully it's not game over yet. And how about Eddie Fouché at the end kicking 3 points, even though Seattle lost? How big is that bonus point possibly going to be? That could be them into the playoffs, depending on how this final weekend goes. Huge kick for him under pressure. So just a fun game to watch. Great to see Shane O'Leary putting another masterclass on from Miami against San Diego, who just couldn't get out of, took them forever to get going in that game. They were down, 22-0, I think, to start the game. And then, Chicago took them a while. Speaking of slow starts, took them about half an hour to switch on again. But when they finally did, they just kind of wore down NOLA in the end.
Yeah, and some great performances in that Chicago, and that's from that Chicago lineup, including Peyton Wall, huh?
Yeah, another cracking try. He scored. He looks like a gamer, that kid. Certainly one to watch. Probably not going to get, quite in the Eagles squad this year, but absolutely, let's see how it goes next year. And he's got a bright future.
Okay. Bright future indeed. So let's talk about the future. Let's see your clairvoyant skills again. These spreads, by the way, are from the Rugby Odds, which you need to be watching. It's a very good show. NOLA hosting New England. New England road favorites -8.
Yeah, I think it'll be a little bit more than that. I just don't see NOLA just doesn't have anything left to play for. Anybody who's beaten up probably won't play. I hope they give the guys who they know are leaving the club a final run out for that team. It's just been such a disappointing year for them. But New England wants to win this one. They want to put the stamp on the season, so I expect that they'll win this one comfortably.
Utah -4 versus LA.
A lot riding on this one. Utah has been shaky at home, so certainly that gives some intrigue to this one. A possibility that LA can go in there and legitimately get the steal. He lost Ed Timpson, it looks like, to injury against DC the first half. He limped off. Looked like a knee injury, but they've still got Matt Heaton, thankfully, to step into that number 7 shirt. So I think this will be a very good game. I think LA is going to be fired up for this one, and I think it'll come down right to the wire. Yeah, okay. I'll go with that spread that you've got with Utah with a slight win, but I don't know which way this one's going to go. It's going to be really interesting.
San Diego at home, desperate, -3 versus DC, who you could argue are then potentially desperate too for seeding.
Yeah, maybe a little bit less pressure on DC. They booked their spot in the playoffs. Maybe, they can, sneak ahead and get a home playoff game. Looks unlikely. I just think San Diego, their backs are to the wall. They have to win this at home. There's just, to have any possibility whatsoever, they've got to get a bonus point win out of this. So I think San Diego does take this one. I'm not sure what kind of a lineup they're going to put out. You never seem to know from one week to the next, but I think they'll be fired up in front of their home fans. So I'll take San Diego in this one. I'll go with your spread. A really close one, but I think San Diego gets the W.
And then you've got Houston at home versus Carolina. It just doesn't get any easier for Carolina. Minus 19.
Yeah, unfortunately, Houston does need these points if they want to secure the whole playoff run at home. So, I think they'll put out a solid team, maybe make some subs early in that second half. But I think Houston walks this one pretty easily.
And then Seattle, who is ahead of San Diego in that last spot for the playoffs in the West, can control their own destiny. Minus 3 at home versus Miami.
Yeah, another massive game. Jesus, every game in this final week of the regular season. I mean, MLR could almost, couldn't have asked for more, really. It's going to come right down to the end. And I think this one might come right down to the end of the game. I mean, who knows what kind of Miami's going to show up. But they just seem to find a way to frustrate whoever they play every single week. O'Leary is absolutely on fire for them right now, and his boot is going to put huge pressure, I think, on Seattle, who have struggled in the goal-kicking department. That clutch kick from Fouché, aside. But Seattle seemed to be the last gasp, winners. We've seen them so many times this season, and certainly recently. So I think this one is super close, and then maybe a late try from, we'll say, Nick Boyer or something, gets Seattle the victory and maybe the bonus point win and gets them into the playoffs. So I'll take Seattle in this one, and I think it's going to be an absolute barn burner.
Brian, before we let you go, final thought.
It's just exciting to come down to the end and see everything, so close. And it's kind of a vindication of MLR's decision to have 8 teams in the playoffs. I know some people, thought that it was too much. And, I tend to agree. But the way it's worked out, couldn't have done any better. And heading into these playoffs, after whoever wins this weekend, I have no idea who's going to win the postseason. It's so competitive. It's just nuts. So looking forward to it all.
All right, and before I let you go, I just got to say I hope everything works out with the forest fires up in Canada. And on a serious note, we hope that it ends up as well as it can be. And on that note, Brian, we are unfortunately out of time once again. So thank you to Mr. Brian Ray of America's Rugby News / Ray's Rugby, John Fitzpatrick of Rugby Morning, Sam Golla, the captain of the Carolina Anthem, and thank you for tuning in. Please check out the Rugby Odds. It's a great rugby entertainment show. You'll love it. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube if you can. Please join our weekly newsletter. And please sign up for our American Red Cross blood donor team.